On Mgtow. So this has been the centerpiece of the Gaytriarchy podcast. This is a phrase that our cat's gay had coined, Mgtow, gays going their own way. Because the phrase is named in a way that's parallel to Mgtow, I think that one useful way to understand this concept is to compare and contrast it with Mgtow. We'd be kind of silly not to use that comparison since the name itself leaves it on the table, right? So one thing about Mgtow is there's a lot of agreement and disagreement about what it means, and the same thing, I guess, ought to be true about Mgtow. And this kind of comes from the fundamental nature of it, which is that it encourages individuals to replace a collective value with an individualistic one. In regards to Mgtow, it's essentially a rejection of the male gender role. It's a rejection of the idea that men should automatically be expected to care for and provide for and protect women. Now when it comes to Mgtow, obviously gay men aren't revolting against women. That wouldn't really make any sense. Gay men are sort of Mgtow on accident, and it's pretty obvious that all the principles of Mgtow don't really apply to you in the same way if you're gay. If you're a man and you decide to get married to a woman, basically you're dumb. You're ignorant and you didn't look into the laws and you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, and you just handed someone else complete control of your life. Essentially a master-slave relationship. I would be very, very skeptical of women who insist upon marriage under the current paradigm, as opposed to maybe some other alternative, like a contract. But no, let's just, do things this fucking retarded way because lawyers need jobs too, right? Has it been 2 minutes already? Sorry, I just have to check on Diana Davison. Just give me a minute here. She makes me worry so much. Hi, Diana. Hey, it's Spacepan. Hi. So I just, I hadn't talked to you in a while, and, I just thought we should maybe touch bases. I didn't know, nothing happened, right? Like, nothing, like, generally bad. Okay, yeah, not any particular bad thing, just like in general. I just wanted to check, just make sure like nothing had happened. Okay, so you're good. It's been 2 minutes and you're still good. Okay. So you haven't been raped yet.
Looks like a good day.
So what is Mgtow moving away from, right? Where would gays be going their own way from? Well, the answer is the gay community. Look at the acronym, the GLBTQIAA+. Another I is in there. There's another Q. There's 2 Qs, right? And there's a number 2. There's also a number 2. And I don't just mean shit. But there's literally a number 2. I guess there's literally and figuratively a number 2. Early on, the gay liberation movement was basically a bunch of libertarians doing a bunch of libertarian shit and sticking up for gay people. That movement kind of got co-opted by feminists and SJWs, and these people tend to speak on behalf of the gay community, and they often don't realize that they're speaking from a particular vantage point with a particular philosophy, and they're essentially saying all gay people think this way when they speak on behalf of gays. Another reoccurring issue that a lot of gay people my age always point out is they notice that there are certain gay people who seem to adopt gayness as their entire identity. And I think these two things are related. I think that insofar as a person buys into the mainstream gay culture, they are kind of at risk of having their identity just totally erased in that way. And I think this is definitely a tendency of that larger movement. Now, what Mgtow does is it says, fuck all that, don't let someone else speak for you, speak in your own voice. And the hope is that by doing this, we'll trigger a gay renaissance, artistically. Within Mgtow, there are levels. It's kind of debatable, because if a higher level version of Mgtow isn't what works for you, it wouldn't really be genuinely Mgtow for you as an individual to go that route. So in that way, the concept of levels is just overall very misleading. But it's a useful concept to use. It's useful to kind of have a couple of different hats in which you can approach the issue in. Because with both Mgtow and Ggtow, they're highly individualistic, so you actually do kind of need to keep your brain malleable to understand that it could mean something kind of totally different for someone else. It needs to be big tent and big umbrella and not carry too much baggage with it. Really, the only common denominator is just a rejection of the mainstream gay culture, as would be signified by the letter G leaving the rest of the acronym. And when you put it in those terms, it's actually kind of like, yeah, why not? Why not separate those letters? Why are they together? Like, we kind of don't question it. They really have no business being together. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
It doesn't fucking work.
But what about levels when it comes to Ggtow? Well, I kind of already walked you through a lot of these. Level 1 Ggtow would be a rejection of the mainstream LGBT movement. It would be saying that this movement doesn't serve the needs of gay men in particular, nor does it really speak for us at all. In fact, it just kind of uses us the way that men tend to get used in movements, which is as disposable workhorses. Level 1 Ggtow is the rejection of the mainstream LGBT culture. It's a rejection of basically the SJW and feminist narrative behind everything, and it's a rejection of the idea that the G in LGBT represents gay men and that it belongs there. It's a suggestion that gays should go their own way in the sense of creating their own just pro-gay male movement that is separate from the rest of them. Now, level 2, I believe that if you're going to have levels for Ggtow, a useful distinction between level 1 and level 2 is where you find an individual creative application that displaces the presumed gay identity, the one that you rejected it in level 1. And then level 3 is the homo state. Level 3 is basically where it's like, fuck it, I don't want to deal with women, I don't want to deal with straight people, I don't want to deal with trans, I don't want to deal, it could be like literally anything. It's literally this idea that if taken to its absolute most crazy extreme, that's what the logical conclusion of Ggtow would be. Ggtow level 11 is the gay male homo state, which is just opulent as fuck, and there's historic glory holes everywhere, and all the houses are really cute and decorated really well, and it's like a paradise, and there's karaoke all the time, and there's like a bunch of drag queens, and frou-frou drinks are like normal drinks, and in the Eurovision, everybody just like loves Eurovision, just like everything, and like all of like TV is like the campiest, craziest fucking shit. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be basically the same TV that they watch in like the women's straight homo state. Like they're gonna have the same TV that we have in ours, but that's because that's okay. And men having sex with each other, I guess that's kind of a given, but like, yeah, obviously it's gonna be the best place to live in, and like you don't really need women, right? Because basically they're like the same as men, but they're not as smart or strong, and they're more emotional and more demanding, and their uteri are replaceable. We just have like a plastic bag that's really sophisticated that we could use as artificial uteri. And then I think now they're having like new technology for like two males could just like create an embryo out of their own DNA and they just put it in a plastic bag. So basically women got replaced by plastic bags and dishwashers. So we can have a gay homo state. So that's the max level Ggtow. My goal is to basically subvert the Gaytriarchy podcast slowly over time and to red pill them, to rainbow pill them. The rainbow pill is a suppository, and basically it makes you realize that we need gay separatism to create the homo state. It's going to be the apex of human culture. When the aliens arrive, they're going to go to the gay homo state first because it's the nicest and the cleanest, and they're going to assume that we're in charge. And fuck it, we probably will be. I think in the history of humanity, all of like the craziest dictators are fucking faggots. So like, yeah, totally. I think that's it. I think that's everything I need to say about Gigtow. It's gonna start with a rejection of all this communist bullshit that makes up the status quo, and then we're just gonna like take over the world through art until we have opulent homo states.
No limits, we'll reach